the computer. All right, so we're recording. So, y'all, the topic of today is the operation mistakes that are costing your organization or company money, right? More tools do not equal better systems, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, we're going to start there, and we're going to talk about how another app, right, is not going to help your business. I will refer to organizations, nonprofits, and for profits as businesses like a hot mess, right? You've got Slack, you got all the cool tools, you got Google Drive, using Excel spreadsheet and everything. Everything feels nice, right? Maybe even one of my top favorites, Monday.com, right? You may be using Asana, ClickUp, and Trello, Airtable, Dropbox, Notion, whatever floats your boat, whatever you're using, whatever tools you're using, right? It's still not working. Your team is still confused. This could be deadlines are being missed left and right, and money is leaking from your company, your business, like there's no tomorrow. Like, again, I will refer to nonprofit organizations also as businesses, right? And you're waking up every Monday feeling like you're already behind. Because then that's the thing that happens when you think you have everything set up and things are still falling through the cracks, right? Essentially, it's not a system that you have when that happens. It's a digital junk drawer, right? You have a drawer full of junk and it just looks cool, like you have the tool, but it's not working. So I want us to have a chat and see if we can fix that today. Let me also do another thing here on my other screen. All right. So we're going to talk about fixing that today and seeing how we can circumvent that. All right. So the reason why growth stage nonprofits and companies keep losing money over poor operations, we're going to talk about that, and the difference between whatever method, like that you're not using right now, because then I'm going to call whatever you're doing right now the hot mess method, and how Airtable or Monday.com, when used right, can actually transform how your team functions. And the other thing that we're going to do, hi Lisa, how are you? Good to see you. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't think I would make it this evening, but as a mom, things go how they go, and I decided to still show up. So we're going to talk about how Airtable or Monday.com, when used right, can transform how your team shows up, right? We're going to talk about why most of y'all are focused on the wrong things. Yes, I'm talking about that because then on my feed today, like I was so pissed off at the algorithm. It was showing me like people commenting about the Jeff Bezos wedding. Like I cared. I don't, right? Like, but people are focused on that. So it just goes to show me that the focus is off. And we're going to talk about how focusing on the wrong things can cost your nonprofit or your company so much, right? And if you stay till the end, I'm going to tell you how to apply for a free operations audit or book a VIP operations intensive to actually get your back end in order. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just keep it pushing. Because then again, it's late, but I didn't want the day to pass. Okay. So the first thing we're going to call out is people focusing on the wrong things, right? People are more worried about aesthetics, branding, the Jeff Bezos wedding, and the Diddy trial, and all of that, than the fact that the program lead for your company or organization has no standard operating procedures and your QuickBooks hasn't been reconciled in 6 months. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Amazon is fine. Okay. Right now, you're overwhelmed, you're understructured, and you're going to have to stop consuming distractions and start fixing the gaps that are costing your company, your business, your organization real money. Because then that's what happens when you are so distracted by the things that don't matter. Because one thing I'm noticing as well, and it's hard to have that conversation with people, is that a lot of folks are distracted by what's happening because they are kept in a state of fear. They are kept in a state of heightened emotional response where everything that's happening shuts them down, right? And it like as much empathy that I can have, I also understand like that we have to realize that not everything is within our control and we have to focus on what we can control. So one thing that's within my control is making sure that operations is good, systems are good in your business, you're minding your business and you're doing a good job at what you're doing so you can support the people that you're supporting and make an impact, right? So I'm going to be clear, operations is not a vibe. Okay, it's not a vibe. So as long as your organization, your company, your business, whatever is functioning like on vibes, like, oh, we gonna do this because it feels right, right? It's always going to have issues at the front end because it's supposed to be a system. And right now, a lot of people are running on vibes, right? And that's the cool word right now, vibes, right? It used to be energy, but now people are referring to it as vibes. And I think, Maisha, thank you for tagging someone on here. So I know earlier I talked about growth stage nonprofits, right? Or growth stage companies. I'm going to talk about what it really means, what organizations I'm talking about. So these are organizations that are in the growth stage. That's why I call them growth stage nonprofits. They're past the startup chaos, like having to get documents ready, having to get compliant, or maybe they have the documents, but there's still that chaos in the back end. But we're not talking about that. But they're past the startup hot mess, not knowing how to get donors, not knowing what email subscriber to use. They're making money, but they're still feeling disorganized, right? And you may be hiring people, but you're not onboarding them properly. Or you may be serving clients or communities, but there's no back end consistency where you're doing that and it's not looking the same every time. Okay. So you're moving, but your back end cannot keep up. Okay. That's where you start leaking credibility. That's where you start losing trust because you start burning out your staff. And that is an issue that needs to be discussed and something that needs to be analyzed with growth stage nonprofits because the part that is keeping most growth stage nonprofits behind or in a state of like things are not right is the back end, the operations part, right? So the hot mess method, what I said earlier, is basically when tools are everywhere, right? There is no central hub, right? Everything is urgent. Oh my God, this person just called me. I think we need to do this right away. Is it on top of the priority list, right? So everything is urgent for that kind of method. Or handoff is the guessing game. Who's responsible for that? Oh, they've done this before. Maybe we should hand it off to them. Or we've always done it this way. I'm sure you've heard that before. I've heard it before. And that's one of my pet peeves. Every time people say that, I like, cool. Okay. What we mean. So the way I like to approach things, right, is having a centralized task and project management. So I use Airtable or Monday.com depending on the project, right? The reason for that, those are tools that I enjoy using and they have a level of automation that feels right to me. So with Airtable, just like Monday.com, I'm able to set up some automations based on who is on the dashboard, right? Who's on the board itself. Like if this happens, then this person should receive an email for this task or whatnot. So there's that level of accountability to happen and everything is in one dashboard, right? And the systems that match your actual goals, that's what I like to think about, not your competition stack. Because then you may be looking, oh, they use Slack. We should use Slack as well. Maybe that's not where you are. Maybe not everybody on your team. You don't have enough people on your team to be using Slack. So, what is the best tool for you right now? What is the tool that your organization needs to use for it to be okay? And the other thing that I like focusing on with my clients is having role clarity baked into workflows. Because then if you have users in these boards, in these dashboards, but the roles aren't clear, it's like you're assigning tasks to different people, but nobody's clear on what their roles are. So it's very difficult for people to know what they're doing, right? And there's like I also want to focus in on consistent documentation and handoffs, right? So you should be documenting things. You should know who to hand it off to, because as leaders, not everything is your responsibility. You have your role and everybody else has their role. You should be able to hand off things. So consistently documenting things and making sure you're able to hand things off in the proper manner is very important. Now, the last thing I like to focus on is making sure there's a level of rhythm happening that aligns with your strategy. I don't care if it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, right? And what that looks like for me is ensuring that you're basically evaluating what's happening on a regular basis to make sure it aligns with your strategy. Okay, because you may not need 15 tools. You just need clarity, simplicity, and a level of leadership in your organization to make sure that your systems are working to support the operations that you have. Because systems are meant to support the operation. Okay. So I need you to like really think about, do you have that centralized hub for that? And if you don't, or you've never thought about it that way, you may need to have your systems and the entire operation audited. It may be a mini audit because I quickly look on the outside and then we talk about what may be the best resource. Okay, that's why there's a 15-minute like operation system audits to help businesses, companies, organizations with that level of support, because you need to have a level of clarity and simplicity in the way you operate to ensure that the leaders are able to do a good job. Okay, so that is why I am doing these free 15-minute audits. I strongly recommend for growth stage organization companies to apply for one if that's something you're looking to improve within your company, your business, to ensure that you're doing what you need to do. Okay, and definitely hashtag live if you're here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I know it's late, but I said I will not let Monday go by without coming on live. Okay, so let's talk about a few examples. I know I mentioned Airtable and Monday.com. So first, for Airtable, it's ideal for organizations that want flexible project tracking, right? They're looking for a CRM style database and visual views, because an Airtable is a great tool because I use both, right? It's a great tool if you want that level of project tracking. I know both of them have a level of visual based views. But I've worked with a community, like several organizations, one of them a community development nonprofit that used about 6 Google Sheets to track volunteers, events, and donations, and it wasn't working for them. So they wanted to have everything in a centralized place for them to be able to do that. So having it in one Airtable base that had automated reminders, track the volunteer hours, and organize outreach by zip code. So there are ways to use these tools to support the work that you want to do without having to go to do too much, okay? Without having to do too much. Now, Monday.com, which is my favorite for nonprofits specifically, because Airtable and Monday.com are not free for profits. For nonprofits, Monday.com, you can apply to get free professional plan. But you have to be a 501(c)(3), and most 501(c)(3)s, I hope that you follow what they say. It has to be non-political, non like so like read their rules, apply for it, get your free account, right? Monday.com is perfect for teams that want structure, accountability, and a clean dashboards. That's what they're looking for. Okay. Now, an example of this could be like a youth organization. Like one way they could use Monday.com is maybe if they need to coordinate multiple sites, right? And more than one funder and a growing staff, team members. So they could build a Monday.com board that has centralized grant deliverables, HR onboarding, and program timelines. Now, with the program timelines, it's very important that they put these due dates because you can have automations on that one as well. So you can provide reminders to whomever is responsible for that task. And if you do things like that, you're able to hit your deliverables like sooner than anticipated because you have that, like, it looks clean and you get automations, you get reminders, there's less chances of it falling through the crack. Okay. So neither of these two things, Airtable or Monday.com, neither of them are fancy tools, right? But they might be the right tools for what the organization or company actually needs. And for the one that I help with Airtable, that's what they needed. So sometimes you have to stop chasing the most expensive software, right? And start designing the systems that actually work for you in your organization and your company, because it might not be the most expensive one. Because then I've seen people download like apps. Like you're downloading all the free apps that every nonprofit or every company is telling you that they use to, attract their donors. Okay, but are you there yet? Do you have the capacity to have someone learn this in other tools? Or do you want something centralized? Sometimes you have to find simple that works for you right now until you're able to grow and make it bigger, right? And one thing I can help you do is I don't just recommend tools. I help you with different things such as auditing what's working for you and what's not. And I can help you match your systems to your actual goals, right? And design the workflows that stop the hot mess, that stop the chaos that's actually taking over your business, your organization, however you want to refer to it as. And I also can help you document all this stuff so your team can actually follow it. And that's a very important thing to do because um it's what helps, right? And the thing is, you're not supposed to know all of this. You're not supposed to know how to put all these things together. It's okay. That's why I exist. Okay. That's that's one thing I enjoy doing. That's why I'm here. And if you need support with any of these things, that's why I'm here, and definitely reach out. And there are two ways to work with me right now that I am talking about the most. And well, there are several ways to work with me, but two of them that I want to focus on today is if you're not sure what's wrong, I want you to apply for a free 15-minute operations and system mini audit if you're a growth stage organization or enterprise, right? Because you'll be able to leave knowing exactly where your gaps are. So definitely let me know what those, like, apply for that. You can drop the word audit in the comments and I'll send you the link, or you can definitely check the link in the comments and go apply for one because it's already on there. But if you don't find it, drop the word audit. Now, if you're in the thick of it, you already know, like, you have an operations problem, you have a system problem, you want help mapping and somebody to build it for you and hand over a system that actually works, you can drop the word VIP or even check the link in the comments. The VIP operations intensive. And that is where I come in because we we meet for a 90-minute strategy session and we talk about your needs. We talk about what's going on with your organization. Before the call, your team gets a survey I work to understand what's happening within your organization before the strategy session so we can figure out what is actually needed so I can get to work and build you these systems and hand them over to you in a day. Okay? So that's where we are, and that's what I want to drop here for you today. But the one thing before I go tell these kids the bad news and put them to bed, if you're trying to grow anything without structure, you're going to just scale your stress. You're going to scale like problems that already exist. And the thing is, you're not lazy, you're not behind, you're just using the wrong method. But now that you know better, you can do better. You can avoid the distraction. You can stop building on vibes. We can build with systems. Okay. So comment the word audit if you want a free mini audit, if you want to apply for a free mini audit, or comment the word VIP if you're ready to clean it all up in one day. Like, definitely save this, share it, tag someone who's running a growth stage nonprofit or company from pure burnout and needs support to get it together. I'm looking forward to meeting the different people I have that apply for the audit. I'm coming. Coming. But anyways, I gotta go. Bye, y'all. Yes, mommy's on the screen. Mommy's in the